Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tip. I'm glad you made it. Back pay to your date of discharge is the discussion. And I wanted to shine another light on this because this is something that it has been floating around for a while. It's kind of, I don't know, trickled off a little bit. So I wanted to bring it back to your awareness. In the event that you want to support this, you should absolutely reach out to your congressional elected officials, be it Senate or House, and let them know that you do. So with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Every thumbs up helps, and every minute watched does as well. So jumping into it here, the Justice and Restitution Act is the one that I'm talking about. If you're not aware, I'm going to read through this. This is an older press release from October 24th, 2023, and but it's on the congressman's website and kind of outlines it. So just wanted to send out this gentle reminder that this is out there still, and if you do support it, you need to reach out to your congressional members. All right, so let's jump into it. Representatives Carbajal and Bacon reintroduce bill to expand benefits for veterans survivors of sexual assault with support of the oldest veteran service organization in the U.S., which is the Veterans of Foreign Wars. They endorsed the bill and want to go further here. This is a bipartisan introduction, which is always good. You have Congressman Salud Carbajal and Congressman Don Bacon are reintroducing or have reintroduced the bipartisan legislation back in October of 2023 to expand benefits for veterans who experienced sexual trauma during their service. The Veterans Justice the Veterans Restitution and Justice Act. So I had it flip-flop before. The Veterans Restitution and Justice Act would change the effective date of a veteran's claim to allow veterans who experience sexual trauma during their service to receive retroactive disability benefits starting from their date after their discharge. So this would be in lieu of their actual claim date. So let's say that it was 10 years since you've gotten out of the military, you filed your claim yesterday. If they decided in 6 months, they're going to back pay you 10 years and 6 months worth of back pay, which would be substantial, by the way. You're talking about, probably $500,000 in some cases. So if you're talking about somebody who gets rated at 100% and it's about $4,000 a month. Now, granted, you got to take off the COLA as you go back, but still, that's $50,000 in 1 year. So $50,000 over 10 years is $500,000. And again, you're going to have the adjustment downward for all the COLA increases along the way, but still, that is a gigantic amount of money. Moving on. The Veterans Restitution and Justice Act was first introduced in 2022, has also earned the endorsement of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the largest and oldest war veterans service organization in the U.S. The bill would change the effective date of a veteran's claim to allow veterans who experience sexual trauma during their service to receive retroactive disability benefits starting from the date of their discharge from service rather than the claim file date. There's a quotation here. My office and I recently had the chance to work with a veteran from the Central Coast who had finally mustered up the courage to report her own history of military sexual trauma more than 25 years after the incident, only to be told her benefits would only be considered back to the day she spoke up, said Representative Carbajal. Our veterans deserve better when it comes to this historically underreported injury, especially as we acknowledge the stigma around the issue. That's why I've worked across the aisle with Congressman Bacon, a fellow veteran in Congress, to craft legislation to deliver restitution for these survivors of sexual trauma and justice for the many veterans who we know face these injuries while serving our nation. Another quotation here. One sexual assault in the military is too many. Sexual assault in the military leaves behind a wake of trauma, anxiety, and depression, said Representative Bacon. As wing commander at Ramstein, I established the best sexual assault prevention program in the Air Force. because I recognize the importance of keeping our members safe from this kind of violence. For those service members who do tragically experience sexual assault, we should ensure that they receive payment for treatments to help them recover. Changing the effective date from when veterans receive payments is the right thing to do. And now here's my question, right? I could see a potential, right? Oftentimes you'll get a piece of legislation in and then things start to expand from that. So if we can get the MST in, then there's a chance that PTSD might follow. So it's important that we support things like this to open the door for others. So currently, most benefits provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs are calculated using the day the claim was filed, or, and I'm going to add this in, or the intent to file was filed, right? That would be the date. But with survivors of military sexual traumas, including unwanted sexual contact or advances, there is a historical trend of stigma and underreporting, meaning veterans may wait years before filing a VA claim, or they may never as well, which means that then they're not getting any sort of treatment either. Congressman Carbajal and his team worked with one such case, a female veteran from the Central Coast of California who was granted benefits related to PTSD caused by sexual trauma during her service, but filed a claim more than 25 years after the injury, diminishing the total benefit that she qualified to receive. The bill has earned the endorsement of Veterans of Foreign Wars, the largest and oldest veterans service organization in the U.S. The VFW appreciates the consideration that Representative Salud Carbajal put into drafting this bill, as MST is a priority for our advocacy efforts. The VFW continues to advocate in favor of the earliest dates possible for all service-connected disabilities, as the Department of Veterans Affairs has implemented processes to determine the effective dates of compensation, said Patterson, Associate Director of VFW's National Legislative Services. The VA estimates that 1 in 3 female veterans and 1 in 50 male veterans experienced sexual trauma in some form during their service. In certain cases, like exposure to Agent Orange or other toxic chemicals, the VA is granted retroactive benefits, but no such retroactivity exists for claims related to sexual trauma, despite the enduring effects these injuries can have on a veteran. The full text of the Veterans Restitution and Justice Act, which was first introduced in 2022, can be found on the hyperlink at Congressman Carbajal's website. Congressman Carbajal served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps, including active duty service during the Gulf War in '92, where he was mobilized to Jacksonville, North Carolina. Congressman Bacon served in the Air Force for nearly 30 years, retiring as a brigadier general in 2014. The two lawmakers are part of a four-country caucus, a nonpartisan group of military veterans serving in Congress who are dedicated to working together in a nonpartisan way to create a more productive government. And so with that, we'll go ahead and conclude it. If you support the Veterans Restitution and Justice Act, please reach out to your congressional members. Let them know that you do. And look, here's the thing. The more numbers, the better. So if you do, and your spouse does, and your adult children do, have you all contact your congressional rep and let them know. Send an email, make a phone call, stop by their office, and say it to one of their staffers. The more people that say it, the more action we can get. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.